If you watch me regularly, then you know I started Depakote back in February. I did one video on it and haven't said shit since then. That's because it's kind of weird to review medication that you're not technically on, you know? Not saying that I have not been taking it at all. I've been taking it, just taking it in a way where it's like not going to be having any therapeutic level of benefit. Basically, I've been taking it and then stopping it and then taking it and then stopping it, and then you get the idea. In all honesty, the biggest reason is that like I actually forget to take it, or I forget that it's even a thing. I think maybe it's also subconsciously, or maybe like whatever level comes before the subconscious. Obviously, I don't want to take it because I'm still in the mindset that like medicine, I didn't think this before lithium, but medicine will fuck you up because lithium fucked me up. Enough sidebar. The good news for me taking it though is that I'm finally bringing it back with a video because I have been on it consistently enough where one, I can feel the bitch working, and we have mixed feelings about that. Two, since I can feel it working and I've been on it long enough, it's been about a month or so now, maybe a little bit under a month. I can actually talk about my experience and like what the hell's going on. And three, we've added Vraylar, and I know some of y'all have been asking about this little thing right here. Vraylar. So I'm taking Vraylar and Depakote. If you want to know the milligrammage, if you want to know the dosage, I take one of these pills, which is 1.5 milligrams a day for 14 days, and then I bump that up to 2. So 1.5 times 2, 3 milligrams. We're real bad at math, like real bad. And then of course we have these Depakote Prolax medicine right here, which is 500 milligrams. So if I was a perfect human being, a perfect patient, this would be 500, which it is. Like, we haven't touched this. We went in on this one. Have not started this bitch. But if it was the perfect world, this would be 3 milligrams. So I guess I really can only technically do a review of how I've been doing on Depakote, and then I can talk more about like how that works abstractly. So looking at how Depakote works, I kind of went into this in the last video, but Depakote is an anticonvulsant, so it works on increasing the concentration of GABA, so it increases the amount of GABA within the brain, which then reduces the excitability that's happening within your nervous system. So GABA itself, it's an amino acid, but GABA itself inhibits the transmission or the chemicals that are exciting you. So the chemicals that give you anxiety, the chemicals that produce stress, the chemicals that fear, anger, all of those like really agitating feelings that you're getting, GABA works to inhibit those so that you're not just going off the rails. So then it would make sense that Depakote works to essentially increase GABA, or the amount of GABA within the brain, so that, you know, you won't feel those things. Because I don't know about y'all, but when I'm manic, I'm feeling all of those things. So I feel like I was all over the place there. In a nutshell, you need GABA because it works to soothe and relax and, you know, deep massage all of those overstimulated nerves. And when you're manic, you're like overstimulated as fuck. So the idea is that Depakote will increase that GABA, or at least, you know, bring you back to normal levels if you have a GABA deficiency, and therefore help you kind of chill. That's why it's an anticonvulsant, and that's also why it works to treat migraines. It also works to treat seizures and all that. How has it been? In all honesty, it's been good. It works, clearly. The mania has been zapped out of me, which I may have confused, or maybe I didn't confuse and it was a depressive episode, but my mood has been down. And it's gotten to the point where like certain times throughout the weeks, it's been like way down. It's leveling out a bit now, but it's sort of leveling out in the wrong area. But I think the biggest thing to note, or at least in my experience that I felt, was the difference between mania and normalcy. I've been cycling in and out of mania and hypomania really since this time last year. That's when it started happening, and at first I thought it was hypomania. But then when I started taking the Depakote, I was like, oh, hell no, bitch. Like, that was straight up mania. You were wildin' over the summer. It hasn't really been like psychosis and all. It hasn't really been that heightened since October, I'd say. And I think that's because we started having physical health problems. We really started to shift or like I say we, I don't know why I say we, me, I really started to shift my perspective around health and like, okay, I need to actually like focus on my health and like get my shit together. Biggest difference I noticed though is with the departure of mania is, I guess this is how normal people feel. I guess this is how I felt before all of this, but mania to me was happiness, and it quite literally is happiness, like physiologically and chemically and all that. But that was my normal, especially after experiencing it, you know, in and out for the past year. I have not been this low in a while, and at first I was just like, bitch, this better not be a depressive episode. Like, it's freaking summer. And I've never had a depressive episode in the summer, like ever in my life, as someone who struggled or had struggled with depression for years on end. It's super strange. It's like things aren't as exciting, things aren't as bubbly, I guess you could say. Like, it doesn't, like walking outside into the air and seeing the trees, like everything just seems a little bit more dull in life. I'm not sure if y'all experience this or if this even makes sense to people who don't experience it, but like when you're manic or when you're hypomanic, everything is much better. The colors are more vivid, sounds are better. Like, I'm listening to my music in my headphones and I'm like, I could have sworn this hit different a week ago or 2 weeks ago. The colors on the trees, they're green still, but they're not like fairy tale looking green. Or I don't walk outside thinking I'm literally in like a Disney movie. My anxiety has increased. I feel as though my creativity has gone down, like my ability to, I don't know, be creative. I'm a creative, I guess you could say, you know, in the YouTube, Instagram, all of that realm. I feel as though like the things that I'm creating are dull and boring. Life just isn't, it's like, okay, whatever now. And obviously it comes with its perks, you know, not being manic, not being in psychosis, making rational decisions. I was literally in the store the other day and I was like, bitch, you don't need this. Like, this makes no sense. Why is this in your hand? And right then and there I was like, damn, kinda low-key wish I was crazy enough to not really see the consequences of my actions and do not want to become depressed. Moving on to Vraylar. So this, weirdly enough, didn't come in like the little fucking cylinder. What do you call this? It didn't come in this thing. It came in a Ziploc baggie and with like, yeah, it came this way. I have not started taking this, so I guess it's, no, it's really, I don't know why I haven't started taking it. There's not like a specific reason. I don't really know a lot of the side effects because I haven't done the research for it. It's just starting a new medication and I'm super nervous about it because, you know, it could work, it could be great, everything could be fine, or, you know, it could kill me or something. Probably not, but legit on some medication on the back, it's like blah, 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 causes blah, 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 death. And like I said before, lithium made me so sick each time I took it. No matter what I did, water, food, like, no, I did all the things, and we were still yakking up for hours, like, grossly. Hair was falling out, nausea was just ever present, never going away. It was just a terrible fucking experience, to the point where I was literally conditioned in the sense that before I took the medicine, I was like, why? Like, it wasn't like I couldn't control my body, but it was like, no, don't take this. This thing is making you sick. And the jury's still out on this, but it could have caused me to have swollen lymph nodes and liver shit. I don't know. But we're all better now. As I said before, Vraylar or Cariprazine, whatever it is. Currently, I'm prescribed, or I'm supposed to be taking, and I will start taking it. Just give me a minute. I'm prescribed 1.5 milligrams for 14 days, so that's 2 weeks, obviously. And then after that, I'm bumping it up to 2 days for 14 days, and then I guess I just stay on that. Essentially, it's an adjunct to the Depakote, so I'm using them kind of together, and that, my doctor says, is supposed to really help the cognitive issues I've been having, as well as some of the depressive symptoms, or the depressive-ish symptoms. It's supposed to really help level my mood a little bit more, because as I said, with the Depakote, I've been going a little bit too far down. So this is supposed to really help with that. So while Depakote is an anticonvulsant, Vraylar is an antipsychotic, so it's not the same at all. As an antipsychotic, it works really to prevent acute psychosis, whether that's hallucinations, paranoia, illusions, anything that's like psychosis-like and not supposed to be there, or thoughts that are not supposed to be there, or, you know, I say this very, very lightly. If you're kind of acting a little off, a little crazy, it'll help with that, because I definitely was. It's also denoted as a second generation antipsychotic drug. Within the realm of like pharmacology, there are two different types of, that's four. There are two different types of antipsychotics. There's first generation and there's second generation. They differ from my understanding within their chemical structure. So for first generation antipsychotics, it includes serotonin, dopamine, antagonist, and multi-acting receptor antipsychotics. I don't know what the hell all of that means, but Vraylar is a second generation, really focused on dopamine, partial dopamine antagonisms. Another way of saying it, you might hear, first generation called typical versus second generation called atypical. So a lot of people have heard of that name beforehand or prior to recently, I guess. First generation antipsychotics are D2 antagonists, whereas the second generation antipsychotics are D2/5-HT2A. Yes, /D2 receptors are their antagonists for that. And I don't think it's exactly serotonin, but the 5-HT2A, that receptor, it's dopamine. So it acts on dopamine. So like, there's the difference for you. But it's referred to like in the research as 5-HT2A. Second generation antipsychotics are seen to be a little bit more friendly, safer to use, or safer when compared to first generation ones. That's also another like huge difference. Obviously first generation were like the first antipsychotics, so they were fucking people up. Second generation is still fucking people up, but it's a lot better and they're a lot safer to use. One that I've been on in the past that y'all might have been on is Abilify, which is also considered an atypical or second generation antipsychotic. And to be honest with you, I have never heard of any of the medications when I was looking at, the differences and the types of medications that are first generation versus second generation. I've heard of none of those first generation ones. So I'll be really interested to know if anyone has taken those and what the hell like your experience was. Because I've never taken them and I never plan on taking that shit. So leave a comment if you have. Scientists or researchers really believe that it works on the presynaptic piece of that. So they find that people with bipolar disorder and who have acute mania, or who are going through mania and psychosis and all of those elevated feelings and moods. This is the part that has me a little bit confused, because my doctor says it should help my depression, or rather my lower mood symptoms, as it works in combination with Depakote. This confuses me because from my understanding of this drug, Vraylar actually works to inhibit dopamine, or like block dopamine. A little bit of background on dopamine and mania and all that. Within bipolar patients, like there's a hypothesis that, or it's been shown so far, like it's, again, none of this is definite, but specifically they see that there is an elevation or an increase in the level of dopamine, or I guess the availability of dopamine within the D2, D3 receptors that, increase dopamine, as well as the hyperactivity/reward processing centers, which clearly all makes sense when it relates to hypomania and mania. So if there's an increase of stimulation or increase within those receptors, that therefore allows for the availability of increased dopamine, which therefore then could possibly be the reason why mania exists in bipolar patients. Or rather, why there's a higher influx of dopamine to begin with. Essentially though, I am just not even going to try to explain all the science, because I'm not a freaking pharmacologist. Depakote is GABA, and Vraylar really focuses on dopamine, because there's a link between mania, or just bipolar disorder in general, and irregularities of dopamine, or an inability to maintain homeostasis as it relates to dopamine levels. Moving away from all the sciencey stuff, because honestly I can type it all out in the quotes below, say a lot more than I can be saying out loud. Even though this is a second generation drug, and while there seems to be a lot of knowledge around dopamine and GABA and how these neurotransmitters are working within the brain, especially as it relates to bipolar disorder, a lot of the research is still very specific to schizophrenia, and I'm not saying they don't share, similarities. But I'm not schizophrenic. And if there wasn't a difference between living with schizophrenia and living with bipolar disorder, if there wasn't a difference between the two illnesses, then we wouldn't make a differentiation to begin with. So that makes me a little bit hesitant in taking this, because it's like, okay, a lot of the research as it pertains specifically to bipolar disorder, they're kind of just like, blah, 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 all the research we found, but we still need to do more because, like, we don't know. And it's like, okay, what if this is going to cause something down the line, like in 10 years, they're like, oh, we are so sorry. Like, this actually causes cancer. Our bad. Like, bitch. And people will say I'm crazy and like I'm blowing out of proportion. But that happens all the freaking time. Now I know it's unlikely, like even I can say that. Unlikely to a point. I try to give the science background as best I can, even though I'm not a science person, because I find that helping to understand what it's actually doing in the brain makes me more at ease for taking it. Not that I know half the things that are going on or half the neurotransmitters that exist, or to be honest, what a neurotransmitter is versus a chemical versus an amino acid, all of that. I mean, I know a neurotransmitter is like a message, but like, is it energy? Electrical activity? I don't really know. But I try to break it down in that sense because I feel like doctors just kind of give us medicine and they're like, here, take this, without explaining, like, take this because this is what it's going to do to your brain, because this is what we believe like it'll do, and this is like, these are the reasons why it's going to work. On top of that, though, another reason why I feel like kind of hesitant for taking it or about taking it or starting it or whatever is that the research talks a lot about people with bipolar disorder and the different variations of, non-homeostasis they can have, or the different variations of what they lack in terms of like the chemical structures and the signals, that all the chemicals that they are lacking or all the chemicals that they have an excess of. It talks about all of that and the reason why these drugs help those things. But no one looked at my brain before I started taking this medicine. Like, no one did neuroimaging. No one did nothing about nothing. There was no scans, not shit. So, knowing that everyone's bipolar disorder is different, everyone's schizophrenia is different, schizophrenia and bipolar disorder are different from each other, it's like, how do you give medicine if you don't necessarily know that that's what my problem is? Yes, it could be the general problem, but like, maybe I have something else that's wrong with me. Maybe not. I don't know. It's like, there's just too many holes in all of this for me to just feel blindly comfortable taking this and being like, okay, especially when the side effects are as severe as they can be. Small, very limited, but severe, life or death sometimes. Will I end up taking this medication? Yes. Yes, I will. Will I want to be taking this medication? No, I won't. But the unfortunate thing is that there's not really another answer. Well, the other answer is not taking the medication, acting batshit crazy, going off the rails, and then having a life that is more severely messed up than it already is. I think someone in the comments a while ago in one of the videos I uploaded said it's like playing medication roulette. You're taking a medication and it could be great, it could be bomb, but like it also could fuck you up. And unfortunately, I guess that's just the world we live in with a disability. But yeah, that's Vraylar. And in all honesty, the good thing about it is that it's becoming more popular. It's a second generation, so it has a lot less side effects. All the research that I've been reading talks about how, honestly, it works even better than all of the other second generation antipsychotics in the sense that it works faster, it metabolizes quicker, and it also has less side effects than all of those do. So, that's a good thing, and that makes me happy, because Abilify was not it either. I hated Abilify. So I'm optimistic, and honestly, I've had no side effects with Depakote, no side effects at all, except for like maybe a hand tremor, but that also could just be anxiety, so we'll see. All in all, though, like I said, I'm excited about this new combination. My mood's leveling out, dipped a little low, but on the bright side, I knew right away, and when I say right away, I knew like within the first month that Tegretol, and that shit I knew within the first week. Tegretol, no. Abilify, I knew within the first month. Lithium, I knew within the first month. That all of those drugs were head ass. So like, I'm excited for this because no side effects so far. And if there's no side effects from my understanding within the first 2 months, then you're probably good. Being bipolar, we don't want to be manic, and we don't want to be depressive. We also don't want to feel like meh, because a lot of people who take medication for any mental illness, oftentimes like, yeah, they might have fixed their symptoms, but they walk around life just like and that's like no way to live either. So if you feel that way, that's not good. Definitely tell your doctor. Definitely have a medication change or switch up, or like altering the dosage, because if you feel like meh, that means the medication's actually not working. Just because you're not having like severe side effects or severe mood changes, you should still feel positive about life and life outlooks, and you shouldn't feel like, I kind of want to die, kind of don't want to die, just I don't really know how I feel. And if your doctor's not taking you seriously about that, then find another doctor. I know that's like super like hard to do, maybe a privileged statement, but like honestly, yeah, that's what needs to happen. And I always say take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt for that reason, but you can trust me on that. As it's set up, like the doctor is providing you a service and you are the customer, and if you don't like that service, or you know, if you find quibbles with it, then it's time to switch up, bitch. All right, y'all, this was a long video, lots of information. Hopefully I distilled it as best I can for y'all. If you're confused, then honestly it's probably because I'm confused, and I'm like a little bit confused, but for the most part I get the general idea, and that was my point. If you like this video, of course, give it a like. It lets me know what videos I should be posting more of. I already know that y'all love the medication videos, and since I'm back on medication, you know, with Depakote at least, I'll be posting more. Of course, leave a comment if you have anything you want to say. I'd love to hear from y'all. Love to hear about y'all's experiences. Honestly, it's like the best thing ever. And finally, you should have already done this, but subscribe. And remember to hit that notification button so you can figure out when I'm uploading new videos, including videos about Depakote and Vraylar and all that. Peace out, y'all.